Good evening. Good evening. Uh, my name is Funton Daniel, and I am speaking here from the great state of Texas. And I intended not to make a long speech. My goal is to talk. I understand the U.S. Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, is traveling to Africa for United States tour and also to reiterate the policy of the United States and the position of United States towards African continent. And as he leaves the United States, I know he gave a remark today, if not, it's still ongoing remark about the United States with African continent. And the United States has always stand firmly in regard to the policy of the United States to the rest of the world. And this is a special mission of the United States traveling to Africa in respect to economic, political, and social issues affecting African continent. And while the secretary will be living here in the United States, traveling to Africa, I want to let the State Department understand that the people of Southern Cameroon, the former British trusted territory, and the sons and daughters that are currently residing here in the United States, and many others around the world, and envisage the strong policy of the United States, and reaffirmly and reassure the United States that these sons and daughters of the United residing here in the United States stand firmly and that the United States should support the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon and the current member of the cabinet of the Southern Cameroon, and that within the past 56 years of relationship with La République du Cameroon, the people of Southern Cameroon have reaffirmed their commitment for the total freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon. And this has begun that within the past 56 years of Southern Cameroon relationship with La République has yielded unfruitful relationship, and that there has been always been a brutality happening within the Southern Cameroon territory, and the geopolitical uh, posturing of La République du Cameroon. And we want to ensure that the United States will stand firmly and agree with the African or the citizens of the Southern Cameroon that are currently here in the United States. And the people of Southern Cameroon have demonstrated this commitment that the Southern Cameroon should be free and have their own sovereignty respected. And we are reaffirmed that the United States in 1961 voted at the United Nations headquarters, recognizing the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroon, the former British trusted territory. And so United States has always stand for nations aspiring for their freedom. And that is what the Southern Cameroon stood for. They want their freedom. And the people all over across have demonstrated their intention that the Southern Cameroon does not need La République as a colonial territory. While I'm speaking, there's at least 56 Southern Cameroon that are residing in Nigeria. The entire cabinet members of the interim government that are being sandwiched by La République. Remember, La République has no legal authority over the people of Southern Cameroon, and therefore they can, in any means, arrest the interim government. The people of Southern Cameroon has their prerogative to determine their sovereignty. They have to ask and to reevaluate whether does they need to have further relationship with La République, and they have to do this in due process. But we have demonstrated this relationship that within the past 56 years has not yielded a fruit with La République. And so all the sons and daughters across the United States and entire Britain and all over the entire continent have demonstrated and that they prefer to have their sons and daughters to be able to govern themselves and not governed by La Republique. And so, as the US Secretary of State is traveling to Africa, we want to assure that the Secretary of State will carry the message of the sons and daughters of the Southern Cameroon to the African OAU Summit and other members of the African countries that he will be visiting. And we want to make this clear that the US Secretary of State will reaffirm that the people of Southern Cameroon and reassure the people of Southern Cameroon that the decisions that they stood up in 1961 for the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon, and that they reaffirm that the people want that the United States must recognize that that's only the way that Southern Cameroon can move forward. And US policy and commitment, as they did in the Kosovo crisis, and now there is a lasting peace in the middle in Kosovo. And so we, the people of Southern Cameroon, and also reassure the Secretary of State that Southern Cameroon will not and shall not accept any other relationship or any other commitment to deal with La Republique. And so their sovereignty and the entire cabinet has been formed. Although the interim government of the Southern Cameroon, some of these members of the cabinet are currently here in the United States, and others are in Nigeria and South Africa, respectively. And so we want to make it sure that while the Secretary of State is traveling to Africa and will deliver the message of the people of Southern Cameroon, the sons and daughters of the Southern Cameroon that are currently residing here in the United States, that United States will stand committed for pluralistic democracy and of the people of Southern Cameroon. Because the people of Southern Cameroon, the United States voted in 1961, recognized that the Southern Cameroon as a sovereign nation. And in preparation of the Southern Cameroon sovereignty, prior to the plenary session of 1961 of April here in the United States in New York, United States stood with other 64 nations, support and reassure the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. And since that first noble vote that was carried out here in the United States, Southern Cameroon has never had a lasting peace and security. They have always been brutalized, abused, insulted, marginalized, killed, as you have seen the images and the horrible images that I have posted on my Facebook and I've copied to the United Nations. And so the people of Southern Cameroon reassure the secretary that as you travel, you should make your commitment to respect the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. Because the people of Southern Cameroon all over the United States and elsewhere in Europe has made this commitment, and that they will use every aspect, every means to ensure that the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon is respected. The people of Southern Cameroon, when they leave the United States, they're traveling back home. They're being brutalized by the evil force of La Republique. They're being arrested. They're being jeopardized. They're being taken to prison where it is infested with animals and bugs. And the people cannot take this any longer. And so we, the sons and daughters, are asking the Secretary of State, as you make your trip to South Africa, to Africa, we want to assure that you will have a safe trip. But the voice of the people, sons and daughters of Southern Cameroon, I re-echo these strong messages that the people stand with you, support the sovereignty, and that the 1961 United Nations vote recognizing the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon, and that we are now reaffirmed that La Republique is no longer part of Southern Cameroon territory. So the vote that was casted in 1961 was on the first April plenary sessions, and United States firmly voted for the sovereignty. And so we want to reassure that as you travel to Africa, you will make your commitment and respect the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon to avoid any humanitarian crisis. As I'm speaking, there is currently genocide going on in the Southern Cameroon territory. And one will ask, does La Republique has any authority over Southern Cameroon? You will agree, that, Mr. Secretary, that La Republique has no legal authority over the Southern Cameroon. Southern Cameroon is a sovereign nation. The fact that they have asked La Republique that they can live together for mutual relationship, but in every aspect, La Republique has violated those mutual relationships and has taken Southern Cameroon as a colonial territory. And so we have no choice but to reaffirm the 1961 vote of the United Nations and recognizing our sovereignty as a Southern Cameroon as a full-fledged independent nation. Remember, in 1961, those nations that voted include the following, which I shall read, and the United States was also part of the decision that recognized the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. And the list of the names that voted include the United Nations General Assembly of 994 plenary meeting on Friday, 21st of April 1961 at 3 p.m. here in New York. The United Nations 15th session of General Assembly president was Frederick Boland of Ireland and Vice President Xiang of China, and rapporteur was Bui of Denmark. And 64 nations voted for the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon, and 23 voted against, and 10 abstained. And those nations include Honduras, Hungary, Iceland, India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Ireland, Japan, Jordan, Laos, Lebanon, Liberia, Libya, Mali, Mexico, Morocco, Nepal, Netherlands, New Zealand, Nigeria, Norway, Pakistan, Philippines, Poland, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Sweden, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Ukraine, Soviet Socialist Republic, Union of South Africa, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, United Arab, United Kingdom, Great Britain, and United States of America. Venezuela, Yemen, Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, Albania, Austria, Bolivia, Bulgaria, Burma, Yugoslavia, Socialist Republic, Canada, Ceylon, Chile, Costa Rica, Cuba, Cyprus, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Ethiopia, Federation of Malaysia, Finland, Ghana, and Guinea. Those were the nations that voted in the United Nations in 1961, recognizing the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. And so we're making this commitment to the Secretary of State, Mr. Tilson, that the African or citizens of the Southern Cameroon here in the United States and stood with you, that as you travel to Southern Cameroon, you need to respect this commitment that was made for the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. We are not asking for separation. Southern Cameroon is not seceding. Southern Cameroon is reaffirmed its 1961 commitment as a sovereign nation. And that is the message we are looking forward for you to deliver to the Africa and to avoid humanitarian and bloodshed as may escalate to another level. And I believe that United States has always stand for freedom of nations seeking for self-determination. And we are not asking for you to support, but we want you to reaffirm that the sovereignty, United States stood with the people of Southern Cameroon and recognized their sovereignty. And that those 23 nations that voted against the Southern Cameroon, and I'm just going to read them and to quantify this balance. So the nations that voted was Israel, Ivory Coast, Luxembourg, Madagascar, Niger, Paraguay, Senegal, Upper Volta, Uruguay, Argentina, Belgium, Brazil, Cambodia, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, China, Congo, and Congo-Libreville, Dahomey, France, Gabon, and Greece. Those were the nations that voted against the sovereignty, but the Southern Cameroon got their independence. And I am here to reaffirm the Secretary of State that as you travel to Africa, You should recognize that the people of Southern Cameroon has determined and that we want that you should carry the voice of the Southern Cameroon that are physically here in the United States and that their commitment for the sovereignty and then respect their sovereignty. And we want our mothers and children that are currently in Nigeria, at least 64,000 Southern Cameroon has been brutalized and are currently seeking for a refuge in Nigeria. And we believe that your positions and the voice of the United States to the continent of Africa is firmly in alignment with the Southern Cameroon. And that is why we are giving you this support that you will reaffirm the commitment to support and the Southern Cameroon sovereignty. And I don't have much to talk about, but I want to assure you that the people of Southern Cameroon stand with you for the commitment to assure that the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon are respected. And thank you again. Good night.